You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright. The kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.
Hey, everybody. Just want to say thank you so much for listening. You guys have been amazing. The podcast is going well. It keeps us excited, especially when you guys send us a message or we even run into you on the street. We're all in Bakersfield. Some of you guys aren't. But for those of you that take the time to let us know that this is working for you, we really appreciate it. And we also appreciate constructive feedback. So if there's anything that you would like to have us talk about or anything, just send us a message. We're on Facebook. You can find me. I'm Josh Vietti. This is Nicole Dickey and Pastor Ron Vietti and Vincent Sierra. So you can find us there, but you can find us at vbf.org as well. That's the church that we all work at, and you can reach out to us through there as well. But just want to say welcome. Today we're going to talk about some fun stuff. Pastor Ron, my dad, is here today, so I'm not going to say what we're going to talk about because you never know where it's going to go. But we're going to have a good time. And one quick announcement before we get going. We've been releasing episodes on Tuesdays, and we are trying to get them out as early as possible, but we're going to go ahead and change that to Thursdays, give ourselves a couple more days. Hopefully you guys are cool with that. And that will start next week. And so just be looking for that episode on Thursday instead of Tuesday. I apologize for that, but it really does give us a lot of extra time, the whole team. We're very busy on the weekends. Obviously, we work at a church, so and that's busy, and then Mondays are usually a catch-up day. So anyway, you get it. We appreciate it, and so let's get into it.
And we want to ask our audience, or not ask them, but tell them we're sorry we didn't have a podcast last week. But I'm so glad we're changing the release date because I was in Vegas this weekend. I was there Sunday and Monday. And as you can see with my voice, I've just really been straining it a lot yet. And so I didn't get in until late last night. And I was telling you guys before the podcast, I walked in the door from Vegas, didn't even take my suitcase and things out of my car. I said hi to my wife, went to bed. And so it's going to really help a lot. But you know, one thing that I've got addicted to when I'm traveling, and on my way home last night from Las Vegas, it's about a little over a 4-hour road trip, and I'm hooked on Dateline crime and murder mysteries.
Yep.
And I listened to 4 last night on the way home, and I got up this morning and I started Googling all of them because I wanted to see the faces of the people they were talking about. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, pray for me. I'm hooked when I'm traveling. I don't listen to them at any other time. But man, those are interesting.
I can't believe you went directly to sleep after listening to all those. I'd be up seeing how I'm going to get caught that night. Right?
That shows you how tired I really was.
Yeah.
But today we're going to do something different. I have a audio I want to play, and I want to talk about it briefly, but I'm going to put that at the end. Today, I want to kind of dive right in. I don't want to be too predictable, so we'll reverse things today. We'll put them in a different order. I did a 3-week series on this, I think last month, or it was quite a few weeks ago. And it was one of the most powerful, or more powerful, see, I'm already stumbling over my words this morning. I need 2 coffees right now is what I need. But it was a really important series, and it was called Decisions We Make. Now, decisions are so important, and I almost want to do this series all over again. I think it's so valuable. Where we're at today, financially, health-wise, career-wise, relationship-wise, for the most part, is a product of our decisions we've made. For example, every time I go to the Vegas church, it's a beautiful church, huge sanctuary, beautiful coffee shop that I think we would die for in Bakersfield. Mm-hmm. Just a wonderful facility, a lot of people. I kind of pinch myself going, this all came from a decision. Mm-hmm. I felt like God told me to go start a church, didn't know a single soul in Vegas. And it was like I acted on a seed of faith. And now when I walk in, there's hundreds of people there. And I just have to pinch myself going, man, I'm glad I made that decision. Oh, my goodness. And so we're going to talk about decisions today and how just one major bad decision can have a major impact on the trajectory of your life and the quality of life ahead of you. Yet on the other hand, the opposite's true too. One really, really good decision can really impact your life for a lot of years. Today, you could decide all of a sudden to invest in some big thing out there today. You could be a multimillionaire in a few years. A friend of mine told me the other day how fast silver is going up right now. And I went in my safe and I got out a big old bag of silver and I go, I've had this for 20 years. So a major decision about, investing in something. A decision even today, like, you know what, Pastor Ron, you reminded me I'm going to make a doctor appointment. That could be a huge, important decision. Because today with all the stuff happening, if they catch cancer in an early stage, man, you can beat it. And I could go on and on and on. So let's start talking about decisions. I have a lot to say because I did a 3-sermon series on it. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about decisions today. Our marriage retreat's coming up.
Yeah.
What's the date on it?
It's February 20th through 22nd. So.
Okay, and people can sign up. We have a few spots left.
We have a couple online, and then we'll close that. But then they can still come for a conference only. We're going to keep that open all the way till the day of. So
and it's in beautiful Long Beach.
And for those
Gorgeous.
who don't go to our church or are local, you can also sign up.
Absolutely.
Through the podcast. That's fine. But you have to go to vbf.org in order to find that. And then is it on the events?
It's just on the front page.
On the front page. There you go.
Every year we have people coming from online, out of state. But let me bait you with this, and then we'll get into the conversation. I'm thinking about the marriage retreat, and I started thinking about the scripts we play all the time. Now, I don't know if you relate to this or not, LOL, but do you ever have those times where a little argument turns into a big one? I know you're going to say yes. And we each go into a script mode. Now, when I was young, my script mode was, I'm going to blow off steam right now because I'm mad. Basically, I was saying to my wife when I was younger, you want to see mad? I'll show you mad. I'll show you right now mad. And that was my script in my 20s. And then she would go into her script mode, silence for 2 days, not talking to me. And we'd make up, always did. 6 months later, same script. And I've been thinking, Nikki, about the marriage retreat. I might want to go through 4 or 5 scripts that we play very often.
I think that would be great.
And we've got to change our scripts. So let's talk. Let's talk. You guys, does that relate to you at all, that how little bitty things can turn into huge arguments?
Yeah.
And do you and your spouses have scripts?
Yeah, I mean,
Used to.
definitely.
Yeah, I used to until I learned that you can change those things,
But if you change them, will you change them into good scripts?
I think so. Yeah, more productive. I used to have quite a temper, as you guys, some of you know. A couple of you guys have seen it. But I had to learn the root causes of that, and I had to learn how to deal with it when it comes. And you can redirect your mind. So in the mental health world, which is part of my job in life as well, specifically in CBT, there's something called the CBT triangle. So your thoughts are related to your feelings, and your feelings are related to your actions. And so it's kind of a triangle if you think about it. And so then your actions create thoughts, and then it's kind of a cycle, right? So the only thing that you can really truly change is your thoughts. You can't once you feel angry, you're angry, and you can deal with that. There's coping. There's good ways to cope, and there's also bad ways to cope, right? But it's much easier to stop when you start having those thoughts. Like for example, and another person says, this is, oh gosh, what's the book called? How Emotions Are Made by, I think it's Feldman Barrett. Anyway, if you guys want to look that up, it's a really good book. She talks about how emotions are predictions. So if you wake up in a bad mood, right? People say, "Oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today," right? You just wake up, and really, truthfully, you're just stressed, and the stress is hitting you early. Maybe you're stressed when you went to bed, and maybe your mind had a hard time processing, so you woke up stressed. If you think, "Oh, today's gonna be a terrible day," right? That's what your thought is. It's gonna be a really hard day. Some people say hard day. Then you're already predicting for things to go wrong.
Very true.
So when you walk into the kitchen and you know your spouse is saying, "Hey, why didn't you do the dishes last night?" You're like, "Here we go." Right?
Yeah.
And then you get into the car and you go and you make a right turn and somebody thinks you cut them off, but they're 300 yards back and they honk at you and you're like, "Here we go again," right?
Yeah.
And then you're charging yourself up, and then by the end of the day, somebody crosses you, and maybe they don't even realize it. It's just they're just short. They're tired, right? Especially if you're a parent of young children. I think parents, like, this is what happens is they both get tired, and then you start thinking, "Oh, it's gonna be a bad day," and then you kind of predict what's gonna happen. So, but it all happens in your mind. It all begins in your mind. So, what I did over the past decade is I've been working on catching those thoughts as soon as they come.
That's good. Yeah.
And there's a couple questions that I'll ask myself. One is this real? Right? Is this real? Like, is this really based on fact?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I conjuring this up? Am I imagining this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know my spouse is upset with me because of the look they gave me. Well, maybe they gave you that look because they were thinking about something else and they just happened to look at you in the moment, right? You don't know. Yeah. And so it all starts in the mind. And if you wake up, so then the other side of it, we're all believers here, Christians. You wake up in the morning and you do your prayers and devotions and you have a good scripture and you're like, "Man, this is really solid today. I feel great about this. This is awesome." Your whole day is going to be different.
Yeah.
I believe in that so much, what you said. And again, I try to bring all my problems to God in the morning, because the Bible teaches us that be anxious for nothing, but bring it to God.
Mm-hmm.
I did an illustration in the church years ago, and I think I took a glass and I filled it up with milk or water, or forgot what it was, some liquid, and I left about a quarter an inch from the top. And I started walking across the stage, and I pretended like somebody bumped into me. I said, when they bump into me, whatever's in you is going to spill out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you get up in the morning and you're all stressed out about something that happened the day before, man, you're a time bomb waiting to go off.
Yeah.
But if we practice going to God every morning and saying, "God, I'm emptying the trash today, man. I'm coming to you. Here's the stuff that's bothering me. I ask you to help me. I believe you will." We just got to start practicing what the Bible says. Because if I leave the house stressed, stay out of my way.
Yeah.
And I've learned the hard way. So
I think when you're running on the opposite end of that, of empty, like not empty in a good way though, and empty in a bad way, where Hannah and I got into, one of these scripts a couple weeks ago, and I had just been going a million miles an hour. When you're working, you sometimes you just get into mode. You know this, Pastor. You guys all know this, and you're not taking time for yourself. And you kind of just go into autopilot where you're like, I know I just got to get through the next day. You're going to sleep, one day, and you're going, I got to get through the next day because then I have the thing the next day, and it compounds. It piles up on you. And so we were in the kitchen. We were having a good day. No, I didn't have my mind set on having an argument that day. She didn't either. And we were in the kitchen, and she said something, and I said something back, and it started out as a joke. It always starts off as a joke. And then she said something back. I'm like, "I'll get you one more." And then all of a sudden we were in a script, right? I was just like, "Well, you have nothing good to say to me anymore, so I'm not going to talk to you." And then she was upset. She's the opposite. She was more Hannah, if you guys don't know this, my wife, I'm outing her right now. She's going to be so mad. She's more aggressive than I am. Like when it comes to like, we're going to talk about this. I'm like, "No, we're not. I'm just not going to talk to you."
More confrontational.
And I laugh. She wants to get it settled, and I'll laugh it off. And like, nah, like I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk. And so it's not good. It's a bad script. But regardless, and you go through it. But I think it just came from leading on empty, just coming to a place where like I've given so much energy to other things that I hadn't reserved enough energy to have the necessary script to have the better outcome on that. That day he was like, hey, I'm sorry. It could have just been done. I'm sorry. But because I was just in my mode and I was done, I didn't have any more energy to put into that conversation. It went to a place it shouldn't went.
Vince, you're saying something so important. We all have an emotional tank in us. And if we're, withdrawing more than we're depositing, you're going to get bankrupt.
And it's easy to get bankrupt, and there's scripts in our lives that and again, a script's it could be good or bad, but it's not like I wasn't getting up and praying and I wasn't doing my devotional. I wasn't work. So it's like I was getting input, but I wasn't taking the time necessary to let that stuff settle.
And your story made me think too of pride.
The 100%.
Well, the Bible. I mean, not just you. I'm not just saying you're prideful, Vince. No, I'm
okay.
For myself. Like I've noticed that when I'm prideful, I make terrible decisions because I'm unwilling to bend. I'm unwilling to go along with the flow a little bit. I'm unwilling to see the reality of a situation, right? That's what pride keeps you from doing. The pride will fall because the pride makes us stupid. It just does. It makes us silly. And so now, like when I start getting into a moment where I'm like, I'm going to argue right now, or I'm going to fight, and it's usually my poor spouse who's amazing. She's awesome, but that's it's the people you're closest to all the time, are the ones that you end up fighting the most with, right? And they're the ones that support you the most and love you the most.
Well, I had to get up and apologize to your mother this morning. She says, man, you were just high in bed. And I said, I'm sorry, Debbie, but I'm going to illustrate and give you an example of what Vince just said. I was in Vegas, preached 3 services Sunday. I was smart enough finally not to do meetings on Sunday evening. Woke up Monday morning, went and did 3 meetings in the offices at Vegas there, probably each an hour and a half long. So I come home, got in late last night, knew I had to do this podcast this morning, and I know I got a big Bible study tomorrow morning that I'm going to be speaking Wednesday night.
Yes, thank you.
And then I got a new series I'm starting Sunday. So I go, right now I'm putting out more than I'm taking in. And so that sets you up for danger. It really does.
Yep.
Tony Robbins said something, and I think it's really, really important to hear this. He said, it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Would you think that, like after a series we did, a 3-week series, people knowing how important decisions are, don't you think we would put a little more effort into maybe making some decision rules in our life? For example, you'll love this. When I was younger, I didn't have any rules for myself, hardly. Now get this. I went shopping one day at Valley Plaza Mall and bought a Porsche out there. I bought the Porsche at Valley Plaza Mall.
Yeah, I don't know. How's that? Did they used to have a cart?
I went out and they had cars on the floor. And now I did this all within 8 hours.
Oh my
I
goodness.
saw it and I said, I want that car. I called them and they said, well, come on down to the car lot. I said, no, I want the one in the mall.
Drive it out.
And they sold it to me that day. And I had more problems. I paid for that. I didn't have the money. So I had to, make payments. And boy, was that a mistake, but impulsiveness. So I came up with a rule. When possible, don't make a decision immediately. Take as much time as you can to make an important decision, at least when it's possible to do that. Try to take, now, if my wife's in the hospital dying, we got to do surgery. Now, I got to think and pray about it 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't have time to think. I got to do it then. But when possible, that's a rule for me. Take as much time and as many nights sleeping on it as you can. And that's a rule, one rule of many that I placed in my life.
In StrengthsFinder, and I did this way back in the day, they had like a strength called activator, which was where people just they value making the decision fast. But then they had the opposite, like the polar opposite of that would be people that they spend forever making a decision. and they don't ever move. And it was always interesting when I went through the certification process, because they said the best thing you can do is partner two of those people together. And even though they would look like they were butting heads because one valued the movement and the other valued like the process of thinking through it, the activator would get the one who wanted to sit and think about it moving, and then the other one who had to sit and think about it would get, the one to just, let's stop and ponder this. And I thought, well, how cool is that in marriage? Because people would be like, oh, we're like polar opposites. But could that be an actual gift?
I'm so glad you said that, because I did overcorrect. I had made so many bad decisions by being impulsive. And I did get into a season of my life where I wouldn't make a decision. I overcorrected.
Yeah.
And that's really cool what you said about marriage.
Yeah.
Josh, you just talked about this on Sunday, which I thought was really good. You talked about decision paralysis, just being paralyzed by decision, and some of us being addicted to the fork in the road, and because we don't make any decision. And I think that's an interesting place to be too, because I do think we come to a place where whether we made really, really good decisions or we make really, really bad decisions, we weigh those things and we just don't want to make a decision because we don't want to deal with the outcome.
You
said
me,
something really good after that. But,
well, you know me really well, and what I said was I called it the dreamer's disease. And,
right.
And it's the point where you get to the fork in the road and you just sit down because you like being at the fork in the road because it gives you options. It's like, oh, I've got options. I don't have to make a decision here, but look at all the options I have. I might do this, I might do that, And you know me, I've been like that.
Yeah.
I'm like the type of person that I don't want to commit to one direction because what if it's the wrong one, And I've been so scared my whole life to make the wrong choice, and I think that comes from having a bad I don't want to say theology, but kind of in a way. Like it was when I was younger, and this just came from my own culture. I don't know what it was. It wasn't taught specifically, but I think like in youth ministry, one of my pastors probably put this inside my head, that you can really, you can really mess up God's plan for your life by making the wrong decision, and that scares you when you're young, but you get older and you realize you're going to make a lot of wrong decisions, and it's going to be okay. Like God will correct you. He will. And if you pray, a lot of times he'll lead you in the right direction, but sometimes God will say, I want you to figure this one out. He will. He'll back off. And I think that it's because he wants us to learn. Yeah. He wants us to, not be babies forever. He wants us to be adults at some point. That's biblical, right? And so, we've got to commit. And I equated it to a car. If you sit in a car and you turn the wheel all the way to the right and you're parked, you're not going anywhere. If you turn the wheel all the way to the left and you're parked, you're not going anywhere. You're only going to go somewhere when you put your foot on the gas pedal.
And when you're in a car wash, you stop. I told you. I was amazed at the car wash the other day. I already talked about this, but I went to go through one of those drive-through car washes. There's a car sitting sideways in there, and I go, how did they manage that?
That's amazing.
My worst fear.
But you know what? Someone said, and I really appreciate this statement. I think someone needs to hear this that's listening today. They need to hear it in their heart. But not making a decision is actually a decision. It's a decision to stay the same. So there's got to be a balance. And I like what Nikki said. My wife and I are opposites in that way. And we do balance each other, I think. We need that. What's bad is when you get into a marriage and you're both impulsive. Yeah. Or you're both afraid of making decisions.
So I always tell Vince, I'm like, people hate change, man. He's like, what do you mean? Like, we always have this conversation. And we changed the chair. I don't know if you noticed it. You haven't seen it yet.
He hasn't seen it. He gets to come in on Sunday.
We changed the chairs in the sanctuary.
I haven't seen them yet.
A little bit, a tiny bit.
Just a little bit.
Man, painted the walls pink.
No.
I like new. I really like new.
But what's funny is we changed them. They were straight. They were more straight, and we kind of curved them a little bit. It's not a big deal. Honestly, it's a much better feel when you're speaking. It brings people closer. And it's better for security, we think. That's a debate right now. But I saw online someone said, and by the way, when you post things about the church, we see them. Just FYI. FYI. We usually see them.
Or somebody brings them to our attention.
Because somebody, exactly. Somebody always says, did you see this? So I saw someone said, I left the church because it's changing so much. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's changing so much? Like we move the chairs a tiny bit? Like that's it. So my point is that sometimes we're so afraid to move because of the change that it might occur in your life. But you have to get comfortable with change.
Yep.
You have to get because the world around you is changing.
Yeah.
Right? God doesn't change. God remains the same. and the core of you remains the same, but you have to adapt. You have to adapt to this changing culture, and it's changing so stinking fast.
Dude, you just had such a deep cut though, because I think a lot of people are afraid to make decisions because it's gonna affect them. It's gonna cause change in their lives, and sometimes that change is uncomfortable. And because it's uncomfortable, they make the decision that is most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of us, I think we're an autopilot. We're programmed to make a decision that makes us comfortable.
Yeah.
We don't make decisions that are uncomfortable or that make us just, because we're just like, oh man, I'd rather be comfortable.
But it's
Talk about health.
shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking to me what makes people uncomfortable. Like, one of the complaints I got from the chairs was that they couldn't sit in the exact same spot.
Sure.
And I'm like, dude,
Why can't they sit in the same exact spot?
Well,
it would be slightly different.
right, because
It'd be angled a little bit.
he got
I haven't seen them yet, but I know I'm going to like them because I like change. Part of growing in Christ is adapting to change. But I want to tell you something about the chairs.
Well, your whole spiel, our whole life, you've always given us this idea, this analogy of throw your hat over the fence.
Yes,
And
you have to go get it.
Yeah, as soon as you throw your hat over the fence, you got to go get it, and that's like our philosophy, really, in church and ministry and everything. It's like you've got to get out of your comfort zone, and sometimes you have to force yourself out of it because it's not easy.
Check me out. I'm not sure that I'm saying this right, but I think that saying came from one of the Kennedys, I think. If I remember correctly, and again, forgive me if I'm wrong.
Sandlot, but
I felt like the story was around young kids going home from school, and everybody was always daring somebody to go over this high wall, and one of them took off his hat and threw it over, and he had to go get it. But I want to say something about Vegas yesterday. It was so cool when you talk about the way the chairs have been changed, and you said security might not like it or whatever. But anyway, and I'm going to try to say this delicately. I forgot what service it was. We have 3. But there was this one guy, and I think he was cool, so please don't take this as an insult if you're listening. But he looked like he came out of Duck Dynasty on steroids. And he came in, and I like to watch people's body posture as I'm teaching. And he just kind of slumped down, like I felt like almost like, bring it on, dude. What do you got for me? And by the time I was about 3/4 through, he was draped over the chair in front of him. I mean, just whoa, eyes on me. And then at the same time, another guy came in, kind of in gangster mode, and he had a long trench coat on, a huge backpack, and he sat to my left. It looked pretty rough. Immediately started digging through his backpack, looking at me, tagged me to it, digging. And I'm watching him, and I'm starting to lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
And he keeps digging in there, and looking, and I thought, and he came in late. And I thought, oh no. It started bothering me, and I felt like God said to me, ignore him, I've got this. And so I stopped looking at him, and I just started looking the other direction. And when I gave the altar call, those 2 guys were the first ones to raise their hands. They wanted to give their lives to God. And so I think that's so cool. So I thought about that. My mind runs in different ways when you talked about the chairs being moved in security. But I think that's great that you move the chairs. Anything you do like that new. I like challenges. I think we have to make small changes very often.
Yeah, and so people are thrown off a little bit, but the people are starting to see that it's a good thing, to change things up a little bit sometimes.
I think it's great.
It's good for us.
I think it's great.
It's like a workout. It
I can just
stretches
picture
us.
now my first Sunday back seeing people really mad about where they're sitting. I always sat here.
Now, don't worry. I took the brunt of it.
Yeah, no, Josh took the first 2
Good.
weeks. Yeah, they're
Good.
broken now.
See, I love this role I'm in right now. You guys are running the church, and if somebody doesn't like something, I go,
our
don't
fault.
look at me. Don't look at me. I really like what Peter Drucker said. You might want to say something about this, Josh or Vince or Nikki. When you see a successful business, just keep in mind that someone once made a courageous decision. And I love that.
Right. Well, I always talk about Walt Disney. I end up watching those documentaries about how he started Disneyland, and he was already successful as an animator, and the entire world convention would have been keep doing that only. Like, why are you going to do something wild? but he almost bankrupted the Disney Corporation by opening Disneyland, which ended up being the most successful thing.
And he had a lot of doubters.
Ever, yeah, a ton. And he did it far away. I mean, Anaheim wasn't even built, like it wasn't even a community at that point.
Yeah.
He like built this thing in the middle of orange groves, in the middle of nowhere, because he believed. But he also, thought it through. But here's the thing that I think that he knew, and I've been talking about this a lot lately. Simon Sinek wrote a book called Start With Why, and if you don't want to read the book, that's fine. You can look at his TED Talk on it. It's an old TED Talk,
It's really good, though.
from the early 2000s. But he draws a circle, and he draws a circle with like a target, and he says most people start with what, right? Like, this is what I need to do to be successful. But rarely do people start with why. And the people that are successful start with why because they always know their anchor point. They always know like where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to be doing. And so if you have your why, like what is your purpose? What are you here for? If you can figure that out and make decisions from that point, you'll always be on point. You'll make good decisions. At least, I mean, maybe not always, but you're much more likely to make good decisions.
Yeah, because your what can change.
Yeah.
But if your why is solid, then
Right.
your what can go any other direction, and you're
Right.
okay with it when it changes.
And Dad, I think I've seen you do this throughout the years as well. I would say your why is evangelistic. You want people to go to heaven.
Yeah.
You want people to know Jesus. And so everything that you've done, starting a church in Las Vegas, crazy, starting a church in Colorado, crazy, starting, even Porterville, which wasn't even a fully successful thing, but you still made an impact there. And then
Colorado.
Visalia, all over.
I just heard some other day about Colorado, somebody that was saved in our church and how good they're doing.
But your whole point was I want people to know
Yes.
how accessible Jesus
And in that,
is.
can you ever reverse the why and what? Can the why drive the what?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But didn't you say the what comes first, then why?
No,
no.
why
Oh, I think
comes
so.
No,
Okay.
the why
I
is
The why is
misunderstood.
always,
the why is the
Yeah, the why is the driving point.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
And you see why now that I always want to start another church. Again, your mother goes, "You're getting older. How in the world are you going to do it?" Why would I really want to start other churches? I love doing it. I mean, when I walk into Vegas, I have 9 board members that I had a board meeting with yesterday, and they're all my friends. You won't believe the people that God has put into my life every time I start a church. Back in Colorado, some of my very best friends came because we started church back there, and they're my friends for life. And so it's so tempting because I go, what if I go to Arizona or Texas now and start a church? I'll have all these new friends again, lifetime friends. So it's really, really tempting for me to not go out and start churches.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's not I have a way of my mind going off in different tracks. People are sure to remind me of that sometimes.
And I'm probably worse, so I probably drag you off your point for quite a ways.
Well, you know what? Again, and I said that in one of my sermons, the decisions you make in your 20s are going to affect your 30s.
Oh my gosh.
Decisions you make in your 30s are going to affect your 40s, your 40s, your 50s.
I saw a picture of myself. I was going through my old phone pictures. Saw a picture of myself, 6-7 years ago, and I was like, I wish I could have a conversation with that guy.
Yes.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree.
There might be some blows thrown. You know what I mean?
Well, what are some things
what are you doing?
What are some things that you've implemented into your life to help you make better decisions? Now, in my teaching, I too that I live by regularly, the 5-second rule. I really live by that one a lot. It was so funny. I do this a lot. I don't know if you noticed at the soccer game Saturday, the guy comes by with his little cart, and your mom says, "Hey, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" I said, "Let's go give him $20 just for effort. Let's do it." So I go over and do it. Yesterday, I was in a parking lot, and I seen this young guy really happy going around putting little cards on people's windshield wipers. And I thought, you're not going to be happy very long, son, because that really annoys a lot of people. And I went over, and I felt so hypocritical. I said, I feel like God's telling me to give this boy something. So I thought, I always just have 20s. I want a 10. I got a 10 out. I thought it was a 10. Put it toward his hand. It was 100.
Oh,
And
man.
his face lit up, and I pulled it back real quick. And I put it back in my wallet, and I go, I'm sorry, let me give you this. Instead, then I walked away.
Man.
It was like God was saying,
had to think he was
maybe
on a
he
camera
needed the
show.
100.
That's funny.
So the 5-second rule, you know what that is.
Just kidding. Yeah. you remind me of that commercial with the
fishing
the
hook. Yeah.
fishing hook, and he has the dollar, and the old guy, and he's like pulling it.
Oh man,
That's crazy.
So
Well, the 5-second rule, the way it goes is like this. When you know you're to do something, you know it. You know it's God's will or whatever. As soon as you know you're supposed to do that, count in your mind, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pull the trigger. Because they said they've done studies, and your mind, if you go too long, it will talk you out of doing that thing. For example, this kid in the parking lot yesterday, I mean, he was so jolly. And I thought, because he came toward my car, and I go, no, don't put that on my windshield. And I started thinking, I thought, you know what? If I don't do it right now, by the time I come out, I'll give myself 3 reasons why I don't need to do that. And so now you have to count backwards. If you count forward, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20, 30, you'll talk yourself out of it. So it's a proven fact in the situation of many things, your mind will talk you out of it.
So I have a similar and different philosophy. I have to ask myself, when I have a decision to make, I ask myself, is it urgent? Is it urgent?
Right.
Do I need to make this decision? Is there a deadline? Is there a reason that I need to make it today? Because I will actually procrastinate on purpose sometimes to see if there's a problem. A lot of times those problems will work themselves out. Like if in business, if you have to talk to an employee or somebody and, it's like, I don't want to have that hard conversation. I wish they would talk to me. Give them a day or two, right? So I think there's a difference. But I think I understand what you're saying.
When you know.
When you know, then do it, because the difference of that is like you're just putting it off. And so I think one of the biggest skills that we can learn, if I'm gathering this correctly, is to learn about what's important and what's not, which kind of goes back to your why, right?
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to knowing your why.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, sometimes we know. We just know, I need to do that. Abraham, all through the Bible.
Let me ask you this. How do you know?
Well, sometimes, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of times, because we are of such a persuasion that we feel that we can learn to hear God's voice. And I believe with me, after walking with God for 50 years, sometimes I just know it's God's voice. And for example, with that situation yesterday, the way I knew that I was supposed to do it is, number one, I had the money in my wallet. Number two was, it couldn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
What would it hurt if I did do it?
Right,
there was no negatives to it at all.
Right.
And so I thought, why not? And that's a sermon I did too.
Yeah.
Twice or 3 times I've done that in 30 years. And I think I should do it every year. Why not? So I think in answer to your question, one way we can know is if it's something good and doesn't have any negatives at all, and it enters your mind out of nowhere, more than likely you're supposed to do that. But go back to the Bible. We have case study after case study, or I should say example after example after example. Abraham and Isaac, he heard God, knew it was God. Man, first thing next morning, he was moving. He wasn't going to wait any time at all. And so that's a question that'll take a little contemplation. But
I would also say, and this is just from observing you and also my own experiences, you have to be open. You have to be open to God speaking to you. You have to be open to, should I do this or that? The other day I drove by and I saw an old homeless man, and I was like, I need to get him a jacket. And I went home, and then I got busy and I didn't go back and do it. And I felt super convicted about that. So the following week, I'm like, my eyes are open. I'm going to, next time I have this opportunity, I'm going to do it. So I ended up having an opportunity to do something, and I did it. But there's so many moments where my mind's just not even open to it. It's closed because I'm worried. I'm worried about something, stressed about something. I'm angry about something, or I'm just in my own head.
In a hurry.
In a rush. I'm letting the pressures of other people get to me. There's a lot of reasons why our minds are closed to things. And I think that it's important for us as Christians to be open. I think Jesus gives us the perfect example of that. He's walking through the crowd. A lady touches his robe. He turns around. Who was that? He was obviously going somewhere. He was obviously doing something, but he stopped his plan. Like Jesus, God, stopped his plan.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. To give attention to somebody. I mean, I don't know. It's really convicting when you think about how he used his attention.
Yeah. And do you think we can ever get to a place in maturity to where after walking with God 50 years, we just kind of know, that thought came out of nowhere. I don't see any negatives to it at all. I'm sure you could think of a few if you waited over 5 seconds.
Sure.
But I've just learned to operate that way. Just a quick glance. I don't see any negatives in this. I feel like this thought came out of nowhere, so I think it's probably God's will. And it hasn't really hurt me through the years, so I guess I'll keep doing it until I get some kind of negative, feedback from that. But the 5-second rule, another rule that I've lived by, is the 10-minute rule. And that is when you know you need to do something and you don't want to do it because you're busy and on, and you go, but I could do it for 10 minutes. I know I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me in the gym so much and other areas also. But some days I'll go, I can't go to the gym. I can't. I've just got too much going and my mind's not there. And I think, okay, can you do it for 10 minutes, Ron? I can do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What happens when you get in there? Usually it's 30.
Yeah.
But that 10-minute rule has really helped me.
I like that a lot, especially when it comes to working out. But I like that.
I can do this for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I tell myself the same thing on the treadmill. Anybody can run a mile. This is dumb. I just put myself in the mindset anybody can run a mile, and then I'm in there for 2 because I'm like,
Well, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm like anybody could do this because it's boring. Nobody wants to be on that dumb treadmill.
I'm working out differently now. I feel like I've hit an age where it's like you got to be a little bit more careful. Because in the past, what would happen is I'd work out and then I'd just get injured and then I would stop.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing this thing. This has nothing to do with anything except for maybe decisions. I don't know. But I'm doing this thing where I'm tearing up. So I'm starting one day. Like yesterday I worked out, but it was like easy. And so today I'll have a little bit of a harder workout, and then tomorrow I'll have a little bit harder workout, but like different areas. And then I'm going to tear back down. I feel like that's
good.
What's it called? Tearing?
I'm making this up. I mean, I'm not. Don't follow my advice. Find out what the professionals are doing. But for me, I had to learn how to adapt my decisions. So I guess it does relate to decisions because it's like, I could easily just say I'm not going to work out because I'm going to get injured. You know.
Dude, but that has to do with everything with decisions because I think we dictate a lot of our decisions on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 100%.
Like if you go to the gym and you don't feel sore, you easily can say, I'm not gonna go today because I need to let my body. You can make 1,000 excuses. And
right. No, you're right. And going back to that CBT triangle, your thoughts influence your action or your feelings, and then your feelings influence your actions. So yes, feelings are 100% your motivation. The top tier people that I've seen in this world know how to manipulate their feelings.
Right.
You know what? You gave me a new term, though. I'm going to lock into that term because your mother's been getting on to me lately because I'm not doing any cardio. But I keep telling her the way I work out, there's a name for it. I forgot what the name for working out this way is. But I keep my heartbeat up. 20 seconds between sets. But I came home the other day and she had said, did you do cardio? And I said, I did 3 minutes. She said, oh, boy. And the next day I did 6 minutes. But now I've got an idea. Debbie, I'm tearing up.
You're
There you
tearing
go.
up.
That's what I'm doing.
You're not tearing
So
it up.
you gave me
tearing
something.
it up.
I'm tearing it up.
When you're
sounds so
younger, you
official.
tear it up. When you're older, you tear it up.
You cry.
yeah.
I'm almost back up to 30 minutes again.
That's funny.
Okay, so what about, 10 minutes of making a decision? But I think there's the opposite side of that. And what about 10 minutes of not making a decision? That's where I feel like I've been in my life because, third grade math right now is killing me.
You have to help.
And and I've got a 9-year-old boy that is full of energy. And I'm telling you what, like yesterday we were an hour and a half into this, and I said, hey, I've got to go put myself in timeout. And I did. I went into my room because I was getting angry and I was getting frustrated. And I think sometimes 10 minutes of just say I got to refocus. Otherwise I'm going to say something or do something, or something's going to come out of me that I'm going to regret. 10 minutes has a lot of power in it.
What
No,
are they
you're
doing
right.
to third grade math?
Common Core math, it's the worst.
Well,
They're not doing the old.
It's easy math. I just have a very energetic 9-year-old boy who does not want to sit and do math after school. I mean, part of it is just getting through this, but still, it's hard. And I think 10 minutes holds power.
Are they changing a lot of mathematical things?
I mean, my kids go to a Christian school, so it's very,
Basic.
It's basic. It's the same stuff I learned. It's just more,
Just the way they do it. They changed it.
it's a lot of homework, which is fine. He's learning, but
In the public schools, they don't. At least the public schools that I'm in, that I'm working in, they don't have homework. These
I'll
kids.
see how it
Yep.
They don't have
Nope.
homework?
My kids don't
You're
either.
kidding me.
No, they do it all in class now.
What? Oh, they do it in class.
Yeah. So they I think it makes way more sense. You know what? It always.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah,
when you
it
think
was.
about it.
Well, when we were
You
younger,
don't have homework from work.
right? Yeah. Well, I would disagree with that.
You and I are different.
Yeah.
We're different. We're always working,
But yeah, when you go to school, it's like, man, let's get the learning done here. When kids, I mean, they're 8 hours in school, and then you expect them to go
Yeah.
home and do 2 more hours of homework.
Right.
Like, what in the world?
Okay, but
Energetic
Vince,
kids.
wouldn't do
could
this.
could it be too? Could it revolve around the fact that these teachers have to put in 8 hours or 6 or whatever, and maybe a lot of their time is spent teaching. The rest of the time is redundant, non-essentials. They're going over because they got to put in their hours. So maybe it is smart to say, "Hey, we've taught you today. Now we're going to give you an hour and a half to do your homework." That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really smart. Do it in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes way more
No,
sense.
I love that. I wish we were that way. But
But
we're
I
not.
think you're right, Nikki. Waiting that 10 minutes
Yeah.
sometimes. Again, that goes with how you're feeling. Because if go back to what I said earlier about Hannah and I, in our moment, had we had just take 10 minutes and just said we're gonna break and not let our feelings get in the mix, we would have made better decisions,
Absolutely.
right? And so I think that you have to come to a place. You said, what's a good practice? A practice that I've made and I'm trying to make more is not making decisions out of how I'm feeling at that moment. Because some days I do wake up and I'm tired, or some days I've already been in some kind of conflict during the day, and the next decision's not going to be a good one because I'm already thinking about the decision that I made before. Or, for example, if I'm in a hurry, you can make bad decisions in a hurry. You just don't care, right? So you're in a hurry, you're in a rush. Somebody comes and asks you something. You're like, yeah, that's fine. And then later on, you're like, wait, I said that? I said that was fine. So I think you have to give yourself a break to say, hey, it's okay to say I'm not going to make that decision
Is
today.
there an
Yeah.
old saying that goes something like this? It says, "You get successful by making good decisions." How do you make good decisions? By making bad decisions.
That's also true.
And
Yeah.
seeking godly counsel. That's another thing that I think is very important when you're going through big decisions. I don't know how many times I have been saved from a lot of problems because I sought out counsel. And I put a premium on age and experience today more than I ever have. I think we need to utilize those older, wiser people around us more than we do.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that's where you have to lay the pride down, right? And, you're like,
And one last one I did mention in one of my sermons is called implementation intention. And that's another one that I really thought about a lot. They did some kind of experiment, and they divided some people into 3 groups and said, hey, you need to go to the gym and work out. These are people who didn't work out. And they did a raw speech with the first group, and they come on, you can do it, you got to do it. The second group, they raw, and they gave it a little instruction to. The third group, they said, okay, you work out. You're going to have to do this. But we want you to think about where you're going to go, what time you're going to go, and all these details. The group that did that had a bigger successful rate by far. And so I think it's called implementation intention. So if I need to start going to the gym, if I take a piece of paper and write down, okay, I'm going to go to In Shape at this address, and I'm going to go at 6 in the morning. I'm going to set my alarm, and I'm going to work out 30 minutes. Then your potential for fulfilling that is going to be much greater than if you don't do that. Does that make sense?
yeah, I agree.
100%.
It's like a
For me, it's
commitment.
putting my workout shoes in the car,
Yeah,
right? Like if in the morning, I'm like, oh, I'll come back for them later. It's over.
right.
Well, look at me.
It's over.
Wouldn't you say 90% of the time you see me outside the pulpit, I've got sweats on and tennis shoes?
yeah.
Like today, I haven't had time to hit the gym. I haven't hit it for 3 days. I'm ready.
Yeah.
If I'm driving down the road and I got 30 minutes, I'm going in the gym.
Yeah.
So, we have this second phase or the second part of this podcast. Maybe we just want to sit on it. I mean, just stay with this.
I have
Put
a
an end
ton.
to
I have a
this
ton more just from all my studies that that have to do with.
Well, throw
decision-making.
something at us right here so we can start kind of rounding the curve and taking this thing home.
Okay, I'll throw one more thing. There's something, I don't know how much long. Can I go like
Yeah,
5
go.
minutes?
Let's do it.
All right, there's something called locus of control. All right, this is very interesting. So there are certain people that are more prone to believe that that the world happens and they're just part of it, and life happens to them, and they don't have much control. Right? Those people would have an external locus of control. There are other people that say, no, the world is what you make it. Like I have an internal locus of control, and I believe that I can control my environment. I have a lot more control than people think. So the fallacy is that some of us believe that we have less control over the world, and some of us believe that we have more control over the world. The truth is, some things you have control of, some things you don't. And it's really important for us to understand the difference between what you have control of and what you don't.
It's good.
Because so many of us make bad decisions because we're worried about things that we literally can't control. We can't control. So we're so worried about those things. We're almost in a panic mode. We're getting ourselves all caught up on something that might happen next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, right? but it's not next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. It's actually today,
Yep.
right? And Jesus actually was the one who said this the best. He says, don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Like, don't worry about that. Worry about, focus on today. Focus on today. What do you have control over? And so a lot of decisions can be easily made by asking myself, can I make a difference? Can I control the situation or not? Right? And so it's important to know the difference. I think even in AA, they talk about the serenity prayer, right? Lord, help me to know the difference between the two. And so it's very important to understand that. And then if you can make a difference, make the decision and focus on that.
Yeah, and again, isn't there a saying that goes somewhat like this, that, people who are getting mature and growing in their character, they learn to know the difference between things they can change and things they can't.
Yeah.
And then they adjust to that.
100%. But so many people get stuck forever, for a long time, believing that they are just a cog in the wheel and the wheel's going to turn, and wherever it takes them, it takes them.
I'm an aggressive locust.
No, you are. No, but you do believe more that you can change your environment.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than the environment.
Yeah,
Is,
more so.
Than you're susceptible to the environment. So, and those people are prone to be more successful because of that. So most people probably believe that they have less control than they do,
Yeah.
but some people believe they have too much control, and then that gets them in trouble.
There's
so,
a difference between controlling your environment and controlling people.
Yeah,
And you
That's
also
true.
see that. And I
Right,
think that's a
right.
big deal because I think people, they try to manipulate their whole environment based upon manipulating people.
right.
And that puts them in, and they base
That's
all their
dangerous.
they base all their decisions on that.
Yeah.
If I can change this we see this again. We see this in the parable of the prodigal son,
Oh, right.
where the father lets go of control and he says, I can't decide. Yes, you want your inheritance, I'll let you take it. You're gonna do, and the son makes a bad decision. The father has to watch him make the bad decision.
Right. He kind of lays back and lets
Right,
it,
he lays
lets
it and lets him.
happen.
He actually
Yeah.
gives him his inheritance. Right?
Right.
Gives him what he feels like well, I wouldn't say owe him, but
Right.
he gives it to him. Right.
Right.
And so I think sometimes we have to come to a place where we know we can set people up for success. We can do their best, but we can't control them, and
Right.
that's out of our control. And
Right.
I think the sooner that we understand that, the more peace that we're gonna have.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to teach kids this idea of control, what you can and can't control, and it's interesting because they get it. They understand it at a young age. Even it's like, hey, can you control your, what your teacher says and does? No. What can you control? How I respond, how I react. Right. That's what you can control. And so many of us go throughout our entire life not having any control of ourselves. It's called self-control. It's actually a fruit of the
Right.
spirit.
Yeah.
Believe it or
We
not.
live in the now.
Yeah.
So many people live in the now,
Yeah.
and they make a lot of decisions based on that philosophy.
Mhm.
This feels good now, I'll do it, but you might pay for it in the next decade. And so anyway, I think there's a lot more
Oh
Yeah.
man.
to say about this
Absolutely.
topic. And Vince, the thing that you just discussed just a few minutes ago, you have a breakout session at the marriage retreat. You need to make sure parents understand that. It's very important. I said one time years ago in a sermon, I said, if we could magically see the next 3 decades of our kids' life, and we were given a decision that we could take one thing out of their future, we could remove it, we might remove the very thing that was going to make them grow the most. And as parents, we have to be so careful.
Yeah. And if you are someone who's in a controlling marriage, or maybe you have a controlling parent, or maybe a controlling boss, you have a lot more power than you think. I had this thought last night before I went to bed. Maybe it was for today. We only call it manipulation when it works,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
It's true.
That's the only time we
Yeah,
call
it's
it
the only time- yeah,
manipulation. Other than that, it's just no. That person's just they're trying to do something here. They're
a
lying
lie,
or whatever,
yeah.
right? They're lying. They're
lie.
lying exactly. And so you have more power than you think. You can
Yes.
stop that by learning to know the signs and realize that your life is your life. You know, and you
But
have to
you
make,
have to be willing to be uncomfortable
you do.
because
Yes.
the manipulation sometimes can be comfortable.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
And so I'm just,
Yeah.
so it goes along with making that decision. You have to be making it. You have to be willing to make a decision to even be more uncomfortable than you are to get to the place you need to be.
Right.
Being an aggressive leader with a type A personality, that's something that we always struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We want to make the decisions, and sometimes we find ourselves possibly manipulating people, and we don't even know we're doing it.
Well, that's the hard thing is when you're a parent, right? Now, I have little girls, and
Right.
there's so many things that I'm like, I know what's best for them, right? I know what they need to do, and I will tell them. Obviously, you're a parent, you're teaching them how to do that, but they do need to make mistakes sometimes, and so sometimes you have to say, okay, all right, go, do it your way. Let's see how it goes. You know?
But I think that goes back to in parenting why you communicate the why
Yeah.
and not the what.
Yeah.
Because if you communicate the why, then hopefully they can figure it out
I
for
know.
themselves.
Good stuff.
Well, it's been a good podcast today. Anybody have one more thing they want to say that if they don't say it halfway home, they're going to go, oh, that was a good point. We're good?
I think we're good. Yeah,
Well, all right. You got your L.A. Dodger cap on
I do. Yeah.
and sports,
I just want to be hated by all the other fans. That's why I'm wearing it.
Well, we got the Super Bowl coming up, and I'm just going to say this much about sports before we go. In my mind right now, I don't see how the
Didn't-
Patriots can
the
compete
Patriots.
with the Seahawks.
Uh-uh.
I don't think they can.
Yeah.
And of course, we have, our family loves Cooper Cup. See some really good things on Reel about him. I thought it was so cool. Debbie is a super Cooper Cup fan because we met him and he went to our church for a while down in Thousand Oaks, and he's such a nice guy. And I thought it was such a cool clip. She couldn't view it, so I tried sending it to her, and she couldn't view it, so I brought it home. After the game was over, there were so many Rams that stood in line, went and found Cooper Cup to hug him. The coach, McVay, did,
Yeah.
and Nakua, he did.
Yeah, he's a
A
good guy.
bunch of them.
Cooper's
I thought that was so cool.
I saw that,
After
yeah.
the game, congratulating Cooper Cup because he made one of the winning touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so funny. Your mother is a football fan now. When Cooper's playing, or the Rams, because we have a lot of Rams in our church down in Atmosphere, your mother watches. And so anyway, it's so much fun now that my wife will come in and watch football games with me. If the Rams are playing or the Seahawks. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, I don't think the Patriots can hang with them. I don't think they can. Might be wrong.
I'm always shocked at how close the games are, but I think Seattle's going to take it.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm notorious for when I say something, it does not happen when it comes to sports. So,
Well, you know what?
I don't know what
Again,
it is.
I said that before. I think I predicted like 5 Super Bowls in a row. And I made sure everyone knew that I haven't lost now for 5 years. And I told you I was in Las Vegas. And forgive me, I don't know the exact number. But a guy came up, really cool guy. He's from our Bakersfield church, but he was in Vegas. Has some relatives there. And he said, okay, who do you predict the Super Bowl today is who's going to win? And I said it, and it was the first time in 5 years I was wrong. And if I remember correctly, you might remember Vince, but he bet over $100,000
It was a
on
lot
that
of
game.
money.
On that game
You
because
didn't tell him
of
to,
my
nor did you
prediction.
know, yeah.
yeah, you didn't
Never-
realize what he was doing.
I
Yeah.
did not.
Like we're in Vegas.
So now
we're just having a
people-
discussion.
People ask me who's going to win. I'm not saying a word
Yeah.
because I don't want to be
But if
responsible
you
for
want to
that.
donate to the church,
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
There you
Right.
go. Well, I've been on a losing streak for a couple of years. Well, 2 out of 4 anyway. I'm on a losing streak. So I don't bet anymore. So I like to predict. And so anyway, you got any plans? Super Bowl Sunday, that's 3 weeks away, isn't it? 2 or 3?
Ooh, we have some fun stuff happening at the church. If you're
Okay.
local, we have a tailgate happening next Saturday, and we're going to tailgate, play some flag football out at the church parking lot. It's going to be a good time. Maybe a little pre Super Bowl action.
I like that.
So that'll be fun. Big old tailgate happening. Then also too, just I want to plug this. You guys are listening today, and again, you're local. We have our 7 days of prayer happening right now, and it's been awesome. And if you're thinking about decisions, what a way to come down and just pray.
And
just
if you're,
spend some time, yeah.
not local, you can still
Pray
pray,
at home.
man.
Yeah.
Prayer is huge.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you, really, at the end of the day, talking about decisions,
Yeah.
and you're a Christian, pray over those decisions.
Yes.
And Vince has asked me and give me the honor of closing it up tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, yes.
Wednesday,
And
yeah.
I will be there. So
One of the things, I'll end with this one thing.
Okay.
You taught me this, is in prayer, that if we have a difficult decision, one of those big life decisions, and you maybe it's something you want, right? You pray and pray and pray, and you ask God to, give you the wisdom or guidance and show you how to get it, or you ask him to take away the desire for it. And when it's not his will, that does work. It's
Yes, it
pretty
does.
wild.
And sometimes when I prayed and prayed and prayed, and I'm not sure what God's will is, I very often in my prayer sessions for a few days going, Lord, if you don't reveal to the right or the left, you don't reveal which way you want me to go, I'm probably just going to go this direction. Please, if I'm wrong, stop me.
I love that prayer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Here I go, God. I'm doing it. Stop me if I'm wrong.
The train's on the tracks, and this is the direction we're going.
And then you get mad when you run into a brick wall.
On Monday night, we talked about prayer, and in the Lord's Prayer, before he goes off and says, pray like this, he says he already knows. And I love that. I think just sometimes sitting down and going into prayer,
Right.
God already knows, and he starts revealing to us. But sometimes we think we know, right? We know what's best. Again, when we make decisions, we think we know what's best, and God already knows.
There's a big difference between the things I've prayed about in my life and
Yeah.
the things that I haven't. I'll
Right.
tell you that.
We're learning about prayer.
Yep.
And so, okay,
That's
well,
a good place to end it.
hey, we love you guys. And as Josh said earlier, if you have any subjects you want us to cover, please let us know. And so hopefully we'll be able to be faithful to these for quite a long time now. The holiday season kind of messed us up, and then a bunch of stuff messed us up. But I think we're back on track.
Thursdays. It's going to be good.
And, so we love you guys.
All right, guys. See ya.
Goodbye.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel alright. But kind you wanna stay up with all night. You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.